now call to order the regular City Council meeting of February 26, 2024. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person meetings in council chambers. Public access to the meeting is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. Meetings are broadcast on Channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Leidy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lukman Hiramasa. Here. Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Here.
Councilmember Kondo.
Here.
Councilmember Roper.
Here.
Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Here.
Councilmember Walker. I see him, even though I didn't hear him. So,
I'm here.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Nick. Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Deputy City Manager Loveland, are there any responses to citizen inquiry?
There are not, thank you.
Okay. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay. Public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. City Clerk Small, is there anyone signed up to speak to council?
Yes, Madam Mayor, there is one individual on the list, and that is Tom Lampo.
Welcome, Tom. Please state your name and address or ward and provide your comments to council.
Yeah, it's Tom Lampo, 3951 Jackson Way. So, hello to everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come before North Glen. I'm here to lift up the city in prayer. These are truly incredible times, and each of us have been placed here for just this time. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, in Jesus' victorious name, we invite you here to the city of North Glen. This is your city, and we are your people. No one is above you. No one can come against you. Your word declares your authority when it states in Psalm 135:6, Yahweh does whatever he pleases in heaven and on earth, in the seas and all the depths. There is nowhere your truth doesn't reach, your hand of justice won't prevail, or your love doesn't touch. You are omnipresent. Lord, we want to lift up our military, the men and women who serve and protect this country. Lord, we ask that you keep them out of harm's way. And we lift up those that have given their lives to protect this country, their families, and ask that you bring peace to them. Father, I lift up all members of our community. We are living in a spectacular time in history, and at times we are in disbelief of what is going on. Our country is divided, and at times it seems to be falling apart. At times our world seems to be upside down, and we see no way to correct the wrongs. We come before you in faith that we'll get back on track, knowing when things are corrected, it will be the result of your hand moving. In Hebrews 10:30 it states, For we know him who said, Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay, and again he says, the Lord will judge his people. And in Proverbs 11:21 it states, Assuredly, the evil man will not go unpunished, but the descendants of the righteous will be delivered. Open our eyes, prepare our hearts, and move amongst us, and bring us peace, and bring peace to our lives. You created all of us, and you know the victories and the struggles of our lives. Our hope can only be in you because this world and its leaders have failed us. In Psalm 121:7-8 it states, The Lord will protect you from all evil. He will keep your soul. The Lord will guard your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forever. You are our hope. We believe in you. We declare Psalm 121:7-8 over all our lives. Protect us from all evil and keep our soul. Guard our thoughts and our actions. Let us not misstep, but walk in confidence with you. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you guys and have a nice night.
Thank you, Tom. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council? You may press star 6 to unmute at this time. Is there anyone in the audience who did not have a chance to sign up but would like to speak to council? Okay. All right, we will move into interviews. Our first one is a spot on the Historic Preservation Commission, so I would like to invite Kimberly Bauer forward.
Good evening.
Hi, Kimberly. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself and start out by saying why you would like to serve in this capacity.
Yeah, sure. So good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. My name's Kim Bauer. I'm a relatively new resident to North Glen. My wife and I moved here a little over a year ago. It's someplace that's felt like home right away. And a couple things I'm passionate about are certainly being a public servant and also historic preservation. So I have a master's degree in historic preservation, and I've also been a historic preservation planner for some municipalities here in the area. So it's definitely something that I'm really passionate about. I'm really excited to see, maybe what I could give, maybe some of my knowledge, but more importantly, I'm really excited to learn more about North Glen, the place I live, and learn from my fellow commission members and the staff member who just seem really great. So I'm just really excited.
That's awesome, thank you. Does anyone on council have a question? Councilmember Kondo?
First of all, thank you, and great credentials.
Thank you.
So we do have a few historic preservation areas like Stonehawker Farm or Deza Estates. I just wonder if you have any particular thoughts or anything coming into this about anything new that we ought to be thinking about preserving.
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, congratulations on Deza Estates, and thank you all for your work on that. That was a really great victory. I think less, as I get to know North Glen more, I think necessarily my focus would be less on maybe new areas until I learn a little bit more. But one thing I'm excited about to join my fellow commissioners to do is maybe get the word out there a little bit better, democratize the stories a little bit more, whether that be on social media or maybe ArcGIS story maps or things like that I've kind of seen utilized before. So certainly, I want to hesitate on speaking too much as I learn a little bit more about the history, but I think that there's ways that maybe we can talk a little bit more about the great things that North Glen has to offer.
Great, thank you. And I see that you're also open to participating in other boards and commissions.
Yes,
so-
certainly, yes.
So thank you for being willing to participate.
Yeah, thank you.
Government.
Yeah.
Any other questions from council? Oh, sorry.
I'm trying to.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Having difficulties with technology today. Thank you so much for applying, and as Councilmember Kondo said, really incredible credentials. I see on your resume you worked for the city of Louisville, and you were there during the Marshall fires.
Yeah.
Which had to be just incredibly devastating, and I can imagine the amount of work that you had to put in there. I would just love to hear a little bit about your experience during that time, obstacles that you overcame, and how
Yeah.
that's helped you.
Yeah, so I am still currently with the city of Louisville. I was their historic preservation planner for a little over a year, I want to say, and then the Marshall Fire happened. And so we hired basically an emergency plans examiner to help take on that extra load. So we had 549 residential structures burn and one commercial structure. So I felt the call to be where needed and help out staff and be a little more directly involved with the Marshall Fire recovery efforts. It's been probably the most trying portion of my career, to be honest. It's, very difficult. You see it on the news all the time, and you never think it's something that'll happen to your community. And so when it does happen to you, I think I see my career as pre-Marshall Fire and post-Marshall Fire. But, I enjoy being a public servant, and so, in many ways, it makes you feel good because you can really help people. But at the same time, I hope to never see anything like it ever again, for certain.
Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for applying.
Yeah, thank you.
So when did you move to North Glen?
We moved to North Glen. So if you all remember, I think it was exactly basically a year after the fire, there was that stretch where it was like -30, and then it was like 30 degrees the next day. So our apartment 2 floors above us, the pipe burst and it flooded our apartment. So that was a joyous Christmas Eve gift. But then it was a blessing in disguise because we got to move to North Glen. So we moved here officially, I want to say, in like late January of 2023. So it's just a little bit over a year since we moved here. So we rent in the Fox Run neighborhood, and so I'm nearby. I get to walk past Stonehawker all the time, which is really great. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, welcome to our city.
Thank you.
As it has been said, you are possibly overqualified for this volunteer position. However, we are going to take all of that expertise. We're going to teach you all about our awesome city, and we're just really happy that you're a part of it. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, next up, we have a presentation from our youth commissioners. Come on up. All right, I will have you introduce yourself and give us the presentation.
Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Siyash Shrestha, and I'm currently serving as the Vice President of the North Glen Youth Commission. Tonight, I'm joined by Nazli Sufiani, who is also currently serving as the Secretary of the North Glen Youth Commission. Just before we begin, I have one note on specifically one of our board members, Leanne Shee, not being able to join us tonight. But that being said, currently, as of December 2023, we have 5 active board members on the North Glen Youth Commission, and we're currently processing multiple applications, which we are very interested in pursuing and continuing to add them to our group. In addition, one of our largest priority projects throughout the year was public health, in which we began the year with our gaming charity live stream, which was specifically when we partnered with the Ronald McDonald House of Charity of Denver in order to do a virtual gaming streaming drive with partnerships across the Metro Denver area in order to, number one, raise awareness and also raise funds for the organization itself. We also hosted a charity flick and float in partnership with the Children's Hospital North Campus, and we were able to create an event that was free and off of recommended donation for youth, where we were able to stream Knives Out, an infamous movie, and also sell processions. Ultimately, we raised around $120 that night in order to go towards general funds for the Children's Hospital, including buying books, toys, and different various aspects like that for patients within the system as of right now. Lastly, we also continued with the Youth Addiction Poster Contest in terms of public health, in which we were able to ideate and really just pinpoint on ways that we could get youth involved regarding youth addiction within our community. We processed over 18 applications throughout the North Glen and Adams 12 area, and we were really astounded by the quality of work and also the creativity that was really presented to us. Ultimately, we selected 3 winners, and they were presented to City Council.
Hi again, everyone. My name's Nazli, and another priority project that the Youth Commission took on this year was broadening our community engagement. And one way that we love to do this is through our volunteer work. So in the start of the year, on March 4th, we were able to volunteer at the Highline Canal cleanup, where we just cleaned up some trash and litter around Stonehawker Park. Next, on May 16th, we have an annual tradition of going to E.B. Rains Memorial Park and upkeeping our flower beds by planting some new flowers there. And so we'll move on to June 3rd. We had our charity gaming live stream, as Suyash previously mentioned. And then on June 10th, we were able to volunteer at the North Glen Pride event, where we had our own activity in which attendees were able to put up personal hands on a board that we made. And then moving on to July 20th, we volunteered at the State of the City event, where we were able to answer some questions that the city had regarding the Youth Commission's role in North Glen.
Additionally, we remain committed to community engagement throughout the later half in the year, in which we were able to support Safe Street Halloween, where we were able to pretty much distribute toys to attendees. We also attended that was specifically on October 14th. On November 14th, we were able to attend the Odell Berry Park meeting, in which we were able to provide insight to recreational staff on youth-facing equipment that will be planning to be inputted and implemented within the park itself. In addition, we had our charity Flick and Float on November 17th, which was with the in partnership with the Children's Hospital, Colorado. In addition, we also had the December 1st Noel Northglenn, in which we were able to help support initiatives and the event itself through handing out s'mores. And lastly, on December 19th, we had the listening session and holiday fun party, in which we were able to take in different voices of youth around our area and also help in order to help us with planning for the next year.
The Youth Commission was also able to attend the National League of Cities Congressional City Conference this year in March. I was able to join along with Youth Commissioners Mira and Alex, and we had the opportunity to speak with various youth commissions around the nation about causes that were important to them, projects that they've done in their communities, and we were able to collaborate on ideas that we could bring back home to North Glen and implement in our space. And we also had the opportunity to meet with various Colorado leaders like Representative Caraveo and Senator Hickenlooper. So overall, we were able to learn a lot about municipalities and our role in government as youth. We also had a priority project this year of updating our bylaws. We discovered some outdated language earlier in the year, and so we decided to take it upon ourselves to kind of update the document and make it better aligned with our current goals and values. And some of the most prominent changes that we made were adding a statement of inclusivity at the top of our bylaws, and we were also able to better define the roles of elected board positions to make that more clear throughout the year.
Now moving forward into our 2024 priority projects, throughout the end of 2023, we were able to definitely brainstorm with the Youth Commission and members of the youth through our listening session on possible projects for the year. We decided to focus on public health and community engagement. Specifically within public health, we seem to also address youth addiction and food access going into the year. Specifically regarding youth addiction, we continue to help and spread the awareness on specifically naloxone and educating the community about that, making sure that fentanyl test strips are more easily accessed throughout the community, and also increasing awareness about mental health resources that are available within North Glen. Specifically for food access, we also help to increase access to nutritious food for youth within North Glen, and also continuing to establish partnerships by volunteering with local organizations that address food insecurity within the community. Regarding community engagement, we seek to create more organizational partnerships within the greater area in order to understand and enrich our understanding of public health and also different challenges that are being faced by our community today. We also seek to help grow our community engagement by better leveraging social media, by reaching and advertising more about the events that we plan on holding throughout the year, specifically that are backed by the North Glen Youth Commission.
And lastly, the commission is also honoring a recent graduate, Isaiah Salgado Real. He was a member of the Youth Commission for 4 years, and he was able to serve as both a board member and a treasurer. He was inspired to first join the commission to learn more about his role in local government, and he was an avid volunteer, volunteering at events like Safe Street Halloween and the Food Truck Carnival. Isaiah graduated from Horizon High School in the spring of 2023. Congratulations, Isaiah, and this is the end of the 2023 annual report. Do you have any questions for us?
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mayor. This is awesome, you guys. Great work and everything that you do in the community. But I have a question for you guys. As young people, what are some of the amenities that you'd like to see at the future Odell Berry Park?
Yeah, for sure. So when we were at the planning meeting, we definitely stressed that we wanted structures and pretty much infrastructure that is able to kind of stick with us throughout the years, kind of find us a purpose for us to return to the park and make sure that we're using it throughout our growth and development. And so we definitely saw that there were different CrossFit equipments that we were recommending, and also just making sure that there are play structures that well appealed to North Glen youth. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, great presentation. And as you know, NLC is around the corner. I was just perusing the attendee list. I didn't see any of our Youth Commission folks listed. I was wondering if you can tell us who's planning on going to DC with us.
Yeah, so both Suyash and I will be attending, along with our president, Mira Bippin.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Y'all, this is beautiful. This looks great. I'm very excited for your work. I'm excited to be working with y'all this coming year, 2 years, however long. And I'm specifically stoked that y'all are interested in growing your online presence for greater outreach. And so I'm very excited to see more about what y'all have planned there. I just followed you on Instagram, so I also recommend everyone please do give them a follow. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Great presentation. Everything looks great. It's really good. As a newer member, it's really good to hear about some of your work. It was a great overview. I'm excited to hear about kind of your work facing youth addiction and things like that. They're kind of mental health issues. I'm curious, you guys did, as a fellow gamer, you guys did a live stream event. What game did you guys play?
We played a few different Mario games. I wasn't there myself, but that's what I believe we did. Some Switches and Nintendo games, I think.
Okay, and how many views did you guys get for your live stream?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but for that event specifically, we were able to partner with another youth commission, and so we got some live attendees as well, so some in-person players that were able to be there with us.
That's great. I think that's, an awesome way that you guys are kind of reaching fellow youths. Is there anything else that we can do as kind of the city council to support you?
I think just being able to hear us out on our ideas when we come present to you guys, you are always very welcoming and open to our ideas. And I just think continuing that, and anytime that we have questions, we'll let Councilmember Burns know so that she can bring anything back to you guys and vice versa as well. So just keeping up that relationship is really important to us.
Very cool. Well, good work.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excellent job. I noticed that you guys went with a new format. I remember right before I left, it was something you were working on. It looks fantastic, so excellent job. I just want to say, as you know, every single meeting, you guys work so hard, and it was such a great opportunity for me to be your liaison for the last couple of years and to see you accomplish all of these things. And I'm just really looking forward to see everything that you will continue to accomplish, because you're just all absolutely brilliant and engaged, and so considerate in terms of what's going on in your community and especially how it deals with you. So keep up the good work. This was fantastic. Glad you're going to NLC. For you, it'll be the first time, so we'll see you at NLC. Thank you for all the hard work.
Well, thank you both. The presentation was solid, and this is really thorough. The one question I had for you, though, is what are your strategies for recruiting?
Yeah, definitely. So for recruiting, we tried to make sure that we're doing a lot of hands-on and physical type of forms of recruiting. So we had that listening session earlier within, the last end of December of 2023, in order for us to be able to incorporate youth voices and kind of see what they would want in an organization to join and gain benefit from. Another thing is we're also making sure that we're promoting the Northglenn Youth Commission across different district schools, making sure that we're spreading the word through pamphlets and flyers, and making sure that we're also kind of just spreading the work that we have been doing through our annual reports, kind of just making sure that youth members are feeling heard and are able to get their questions answered if they are interested in joining the Youth Commission.
And I love that. I noticed, a small group is doing so much for our community. And so to get more people on board would be amazing. And there could be a perception that it's boring. It is definitely not boring. And I know you guys are also really fun, and you make sure that you add fun to everything that you're doing. So, congratulations and thank you for everything. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, we have another presentation tonight from the Colorado Department of Transportation. Hi, who's with us tonight?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Crystal Armendariz, and I'm the local liaison for CDOT. I cover regions 1, 2, and 3. And My background has been outreach for a number of years. Mayor Lyda, you may recall that I was actually on city council in Commerce City from 2011 to 2019. And so when I was looking at this presentation, I wanted to provide something that I would have I have seen maybe in past council meetings, basically a high overview. There's so many things that CDOT does that I'm learning. I'm actually I've only been with CDOT for 8 months, but my outreach and local government work has been well over 20 years. And so this is just a brief overview, even though there's 25 slides, but it's a brief overview of all the things that CDOT does. But I also want to introduce my colleague here, or have him introduce himself.
Yep. Good evening, I'm Andy Stratton. I'm the Region 1 Deputy Director of Program Delivery with CDOT. And so I've been with CDOT just under 14 years, mostly all in the north area of the region that we'll talk about here in a minute. But just excited to be here and working with Crystal to help provide this CDOT 101 to you guys.
All right, so I'll have to figure out how to do this. Turn power on. Is this on? How do you turn this on? Is it on? It looks like it's on, right?
Yeah, it doesn't
No.
have to
Is
make
it?
a lot of sense.
Okay. All right, perfect.
You kind of have to hold it right there.
I have to hold it right there, so I'm gonna lean.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, pardon me for just kind of hanging out here like this. Nice view, thought I'd point that out. Let's see, here we go. Whoops, what happened? Did I go? I'll right click. Okay, so as I mentioned before, CDOT responsibilities, I'm just gonna kind of briefly go over this. For the fiscal year 23-24, the revenue allocation plan was $1.8 billion budget. And so CDOT is responsible for Colorado State Highway System, over 9,000 center line miles. There are over 3,000, well, actually 3,400 bridges and other major structures throughout the state highway system. Maintenance crews, although we haven't seen a lot of snow in this area, but in the mountains, plowed more than 6 million lane miles last winter season. We also help maintain and monitor over 278 avalanche paths. And the aviation system includes 76 public use airports and 2 seaplane bases, which was news to me. I think you know things of that nature, but when I was putting this together, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I'm actually learning as I'm going along, so that was good. And Bustang, we're really trying to be transit-oriented within CDOT, and so Bustang CDOT interregional bus service has provided over $1.9 million in revenue service just in the fiscal year 2023. And now with the plans for our bus rapid transit, which we'll touch on a little bit later, we're looking for those numbers to increase as well as time goes on. Just, encouraging folks to take transit as much as possible. I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Andy. Here we go.
Yeah, so currently we're I work for Region 1, which encompasses the counties around the Denver metro area, City and County of Broomfield, Adams County, Arapahoe County, Douglas County, City and County of Denver, Jefferson County, and then Gilpin and Clear Creek counties. So that's kind of Region 1, in which I'm responsible for overseeing all the design and construction projects that are delivered within this region. Our major highways, all of the major interstates in the state run through Adams County and through Region 1. So we have a lot of different interstates that we got to take care of, along with other major state highways. State Highway 7, US 6, US 36, US 40, they're all listed there. Our transportation director is Jessica Mickelbust. I work directly for her as her deputy director in helping deliver these programs. And we have our customer service number, 303-759-2368 is our main number if anyone has any questions or needs to get a hold of us. Like I said, here's a map of the state and how we're broken up here at CDOT. We're divided into 5 regions throughout the state. Region 1 obviously is central to the Denver metro area, which I described. And then I work with our counterparts in our other regions as they deliver projects in their own counties. It's important each of our regions focus on implementing and delivering our transportation projects, overseeing the administration of our local agency programs. When our local agencies get grant money or federal money, that money comes through CDOT and through our program to help you guys administer those dollars and deliver the projects in your community as well. So. And then some of the major projects we're working on right now, we developed a 10-year plan a couple years ago, came around to all the counties throughout the state and got input on developing our 10-year plan. Some of the major projects in Region 1 that we're working on right now is the I-270 corridor, trying to replace and improve the aging infrastructure along that corridor. I-70 Floyd Hill, our region goes all the way up with Clear Creek and Gilpin County. Our region goes all the way up to the Eisenhower Johnson Memorial Tunnel. So we have several projects along the I-70 corridor that we're trying to deliver right now. The Eisenhower Johnson Memorial Tunnel is a beast in and of itself. Aging infrastructure, 50-year-old tunnel. And so we got it, that's critical to the commerce and recreation of our state. And so we got to keep that tunnel operational and delivering goods and services from the metro area over to the western side of our state. US 6th and Wadsworth is another big project of aging infrastructure within our community down in Lakewood. That's getting funded. We just won a major grant for that project as part of our 10-year plan. So we're to deliver that one. And then, as Crystal mentioned, we're venturing into the region-wide arterial bus rapid transit program, trying to deliver at least 5 bus rapid transit corridors by 2030, which is going to be a monumental lift. But again, trying to change, promote mode shift, change, and give people options on how to get around within their communities and not just rely on vehicles in the interstate system. So with that, I will turn it back over to Crystal. She'll talk about.
Okay, all right. And on this slide, it's just really, there's more information on the transportation planning regions, which we fondly refer to as TPRs. But here, according to the map, you see that there are 15. And so the function of a TPR is just to provide the guidance and the direction related to the regional transportation needs. This is something that is, I don't want to talk too much on this because I don't have the information to back it up right before you, but I could always provide that information later. But there has been a restructure of TPR regions where, just depending on how those divisions are, whether it's 2 TPRs may be combined because of the growth, whereas one may expand, maybe be split in half because of the lack of growth, right? So that's been a huge undertaking. My counterpart, Jamie Grimm, who covers Regions 4 and 5, she took on that project. And so there's more information to follow, but of course, because it's still in the preliminary stages and development stages, I will provide that at a later date, but just wanted to touch briefly on that. Sorry, I have to be right here. Just want to talk about the Transportation Commission. That's CDOT's governing body, and so there are 11 members that are appointed by the governor, which are confirmed by the Senate. The confirmation occurs during the legislative session between January and May. They serve 4-year terms, and they're traditionally, there's 2-year terms limits for the commissioners. They do meet monthly, and they set the following: the annual budget, the broad priorities to be accomplished with the recommendations of CDOT staff in selecting projects, board policies of the department, and direction to CDOT staff in general. And just one minor thing that transportation commissioners do not do, which is pick the priority projects, pick projects in any category except on the 10-year plan. Instead, they just rely on the planning and efforts of just the general region itself to identify high priority projects. And this just shows the regions and the districts and the commissioners. We just welcomed, 6 new commissioners as of August of last year. So we've got a full group, lots of exciting things happening. Let's see, what else? And this is a graph. I won't go too far into detail because this is changing as we speak. Probably you would know more than I do. But the question is, where do CDOT funds come from? And so it shows you just the percentages of where these come from. Obviously, the highest would be from our federal programs, but we have our Highway Users Tax Fund, we have our Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise, the aeronautics, again, which I was surprised by to find out how much of a contribution to CDOT that actually provides. Other state funds, and then other CDOT enterprises. And again, just a brief overview. 53.9 million of our multimodal services. It's the innovative mobility within the 10-year plan projects. So that's shows when, sorry, I should have gone back, how are funds allocated? So I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit. Do you want to speak to that a little bit? I know because that's something that we obviously just mentioned the BRT, but let me have Andy step in and kind of expand on that.
Yeah, no, I think this is just showing, when we take a look at our breakdown of our budget, like 41% of it goes to the capital construction of our asset management type projects. And, but overall, a good portion, well, I guess, 26%, a good majority of it goes to just maintenance and operations and taking care of our existing system. And then you see the administration and agency operations is only 6%. But our new start, trying to take a look at more of our multimodal services. While it only gets 3% right now, it's always a continued focus, and probably see more efforts going towards trying to build that multimodal network that we're looking at right now. But overall, you can see a good portion is spread out between these different programs.
Switch back and forth here. He's the pro, I'm just the face of the presentation. So CDOT's 10-year plan. So the 10-year plan consists of the 4-year funded plan and 6 years of other project priorities. So the main goals of the 10-year plan, obviously safety is one of them, top priority, improving safety in the transportation system, the ultimate aim for 0 deaths per year. That's a big reach, but we're aiming. Resiliency, so that to ensure that we have the ability to keep our roads open and functional in the face of unexpected events and challenges. Now, you recall the train derailment that we had in Pueblo, and then even the closure of Berthoud Pass with the heavy snowstorms that we had over Martin Luther King weekend. It's things like that we learn from, and I keep looking to him for direction because I want to make sure I don't misspeak. But it's things of that nature that help us decide and reflect on, okay, how can this be better, or how do we incorporate this in our 10-year plan? The resiliency, ensuring that we have the ability to keep our roads open, just as I just mentioned. Fix it first. Half of the funding is allocated to fixing existing infrastructure. Prime example is the I-270 corridor improvement project. I've actually been assigned to do outreach with that project. I live in that area. I live in Commerce City. I grew up in that area. I know the aging infrastructure has been a topic of controversy for a number of years, probably decades before I was on city council. But it's important that if there's any type of opportunity to fix anything on a project before we can actually have, shovels in the ground, that is a key element, and maybe you can help me out with this. The critical bridges are one thing, and if you drive 270, you'll notice that there are areas that they're repairing those bridges, and that's just something that we're looking at to jumpstart, right, our efforts in maintaining these and fixing them. Multimodal, I mentioned briefly, improving the access to modes of transportation aside from single occupancy vehicles. I know that, and we're working closely with Dr. as far as promoting folks to find alternative ways to commute. I know that they have a campaign going, and of course I can't think of it right now, to really encourage folks to take transit, which is in partnership with RTD. So these are things that are discussed monthly at NADA. If you're familiar with NADA, I attend those meetings, and definitely this is one of the items of action items that we'd like to see progress in the next several years. And then just the 10-year plan includes the strategic pipeline of the projects, 1,000-plus lane miles touched, 15 rehabilitated or new transit facilities, the largest investment in rural road condition in CDOT history, and the focus of taking care of our system, which I touched on briefly, but 50% of those funds go to improving the condition of our roadway system, the asset management and the resurfacing projects. And the full 10-year plan project is available, and again, that's updated on a regular basis. But what I wanted to mention is that any questions that you have, please connect with me. I am your liaison that will connect you to the appropriate people, departments, find out the information. I know City Manager Guyer, I've communicated with you on some topics of interest and concern on some things that CDOT would be responsible in maintaining. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I do have my contact information at the end of this presentation. And along with this, the 10-year plan update. So, we've made significant progress in delivering the 10-year plan to catch up on critical road and bridge repairs, like I mentioned. But the few highlights is CDOT has completed 54 projects from this 10-year plan to date, with an additional 40 projects currently under construction. And 100% of the projects in the first 4 years of this plan are complete or under construction, and over half of the full 10-year plan is now complete or in progress. And with the progress on the 10-year plan well underway and more coming quickly, Coloradans should expect CDOT to continue building the connections we need to keep our state thriving. And just at a glance, projects completed in 2023 are 18. 34 projects are currently underway, and 21 are scheduled to begin in 2024. Another summary, the key accomplishments in 2023, over 122 total projects completed, $73.5 million in grant funding was awarded, 109 projects were awarded. I won't go through everything, but you can see pretty impressive, I think, considering how many things that CDOT is actually responsible for now that I'm on the other side looking in. So again, 100% of the projects in the first 4 years of the 10-year plan are complete or under construction. And this is just a one slide to just talk about that. We are prioritizing maintenance. We have increased funding for maintenance, and they are creating a comprehensive workforce strategy. I know that a lot of, not just the municipalities, but just in general, it's hard to staff certain departments, right? And so we've actually, and maybe you can help me with this, we've actually seen a tremendous increase. I don't have the percentages here, but, and we're continually trying to build off of that. Also working with local colleges and workforce centers to really build that, I don't know, fill the gap in that bridge from how can we attract folks to, consider CDOT as a place of employment. So that's one thing. They did elevate the director of maintenance to an executive staff position, which has definitely made a difference. What they call the MLOS, the maintenance level of service, they've made that a standalone item. So as you know, you're familiar with budget items, having a standalone item, I think warrants a little more, leverage, if anything. And then we celebrated the opening of the Eisenhower Memorial Tunnels, which was a huge undertaking, but it was a huge accomplishment as well. Updated, replacing decades-old copper wires, installing fiber optic cables. I won't go through everything, but you see that this is a continual thing, and this slide does not give enough merit to our maintenance department, but just wanted to touch on it. And then, greenhouse gas, obviously that's something that a lot of communities are interested in, and this is just a brief overview of that. We're developing long-range plans. We're determining the impact of these plans in 2025, 2030, 2040, and 2050. which I'll go back to the 270 project. That is definitely a major topic that we're, and concern that we're, being insightful as far as our approaches and our alternatives. And so that's something that falls in alignment with this particular, this plan. Let's see what else. I think I'll touch on the others. I know I've kind of mentioned the others. And let's see, sorry, whoops. Wait, did I skip one? No, okay. Bus rapid transit, do you want to take this? Sure. I don't want to hog it. Let me give him a moment to shine.
Well, I think with the, our greenhouse gas initiative and our focus on trying to reduce greenhouse gas and emissions, I think the bus rapid transit has become a focal point for us in trying to move more people, goods, and services more efficiently. And so we started a bus rapid transit group and working with DRCOG and the regions to develop what corridors would be best suited for this, which ones are in need of it right now. And so we've identified a couple of them right now and getting underway with design and study of those corridors. Federal Boulevard from 120th in Westminster all the way down to Dartmouth Avenue south of Denver is one of our first focuses of trying to implement bus rapid transit. Colorado Boulevard as well, and as well as we're working with the City and County of Denver on Colfax Boulevard. So those are our main three that the region's kind of working on. I don't know if in Region 4, which is northern Colorado, they're implementing a BRT on State Highway 119, and that's one of their major corridors there between Longmont and Boulder. So several of these bus rapid transit corridors are going to be coming online under design and hopefully implementation. Like I said, by 2030, it's a high aspirational goal, but we're getting situated and in position to go after grants from the Federal Transit Association and that kind of thing to help pay. As Crystal mentioned, we already brought in, just in the last year alone, over $74 million worth of grant money. Previous, we had gotten $100 million grants, so we're really well positioned with these projects to try and take advantage of that federal money and leverage as little state money as possible to get these projects done. So really excited about continuing this. Again, hopefully eventually then starting to implement, Colorado 7 from Boulder to Brighton is another main focus. It's kind of in this northern area of the community. Mustang.
Yeah.
So Mustangs are, right now it's more of a regional bus service. RTD handles the transportation, within the Denver metro area, and we don't provide dual service with them or compete service with them. We provide the Outrider services, and that's what Mustang. We've unrolled several different Mustang lines. Obviously, the one up and down I-25 from Fort Collins down to Colorado Springs, but also now we've got ridership on I-70 up into the mountains. Really excited about the new Snowstang. To provide people options to get up into the mountains to the ski resorts, and then as well as Pegasus, which is more of a shuttle type service along the I-70 corridor. So just looking at different ways to efficiently give people options on how to get to the recreation and move throughout the state. Like I said, it said system-wide ridership has increased 25% in 2023. So the more systems opportunities we give people, it seems like the ridership is there for people to take advantage of that. So we're really excited about Mustang. I'll let you take Front Range Passenger Rail.
I'm just going to read off of this. This is very new for me. Front Range Passenger Rail, I won't go into everything. Obviously, want to be mindful of the time as well. But this is definitely something that Director Liu has I don't want to misspeak, but it's one of the priority projects, and it's a huge undertaking, but it's definitely something that I think we need. And so this just gives a little bit of information. Again, I won't go into it. I'll just go on to the next slide. Safety, as I mentioned, 0 deaths. That's what our goal is. This just kind of breaks down the safety culture as far as safe roads, safe people, safe driving, post-crash care. And we have several campaigns that we do on a regular basis. A lot of them are directed around the holidays when we expect, travelers to be out and higher volumes of traffic. So this just falls in alignment with that. Let's see, again, this is one of the campaigns. I know you've seen that. Don't forget to click it. And so one thing I'll just mention on this, that the Colorado Highway Safety Office has a, $14.5 million budget in fiscal year '23. And so it shows basically the breakdown of how those funds were allocated. Let's see, sorry, I'm just trying to move quickly here now. Oops, is that it? And this is just a brief mention of revitalizing main streets in our economy. In 2023, over $25 million worth of projects were either awarded or kicked off. And so CDOT is proud to, invest in our roads, but also building environments that support the multimodal transportation options, which I've already talked about. This is just for your review. And then we also do have an equity, diversion, inclusion, and accessibility department that also falls in, and I'll skip to the next slide. They actually go together, but let's see, which lies in the Office of Environmental Justice and Equity. And so that's fairly new. That's 2 years? Yeah, so 2 years. And definitely building a lot of the work that we're doing on, I'll again reference I-270. We're working closely with this office just to make sure that we are providing the information that falls in alignment with the protocols of this particular, this department. Let's see. Okay, and with that, I know that was a lot of information, but you have the slides, you have the information. Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, we have quite a few.
You have a lot of people.
Yeah,
Okay, you have a lot of questions. This is where Andy's going to help me because he's
Okay.
got the answers, so.
Well, we're going to start online with Councilmember Walker. Councilmember Walker, just unmute for us.
Thank you. Ms. Crystal, welcome to your new position. Sorry I can't be there with you tonight. I just want to make sure you're the person we can reach out to because I've got a great deal of concern with the lack of response time and our staff having to submit multiple requests. No responses to a mundane matter such as a 3-foot fence that backs up to dozens of our residents. And since you guys continue not to repair this fence, I don't know why not, I've gone and cleaned up that hill myself and removed dozens of trash bags from there.
Okay.
And I'm just hoping you're our face we can talk to get this resolved because the response time is quite frankly unprofessional. And it's why CDOT has such a low public opinion. And so I'm just making sure you're who I can reach out to for that.
Yes, and thank you for that, and I appreciate that. And yes, I am the one that leverages any, concerns, complaints, and I understand, and just brief communication that I had with City Manager Geyer and one of the staff members in regard to multiple requests. There's not necessarily a notification system that's in place. It's a matter of me following up with what has been submitted in the system. I follow up with our Region 1 team. A lot of times it's divided into different areas. I mean, you can speak to that a little better, but long story short, I would be your first point of contact. And if I don't have that answer for you, I can definitely connect you with the people that can provide that information. And I do understand your frustration, and I can take your sentiments back to the team and see, how can we resolve these concerns. I know it's not, waving a magic wand, and we know that, but at least if the communication's there and I'm aware of it, please know that we will do our best to address these.
Yes, ma'am. I don't expect to wave a magic wand, but I'm sure in 9 months we can get something done here soon. So I look forward to working with you.
Yes, thank you.
Councilmember Condo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have 4 questions. First of all, regarding the I-270 widening, I had heard through the grapevine that one of the biggest issues is the ability to make those bridges wider so you can add another lane. And I wonder if you can provide some color commentary on that. Is that true? Or is there something else going on that keeps us from being able to make a wider highway on 270?
Right, well, right now, we're following our environmental process right now, and so we're in the middle of an environmental impact statement, an EIS. So we have to look at a wide range of alternatives on how we want to improve that corridor. And so that's where we're at right now in order to determine what that ultimate footprint looks like, so then we can replace those bridges to however wide they need to be, so that we don't replace them now, our bridge's 100-year lifespan of our bridge, we don't replace them now and preclude, you know, the needs in the future. And so that's where we're at right now with that project.
So environmental review.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And Crystal, I think you mentioned that within a 10-year window, you know, the adjudication or prioritization is done regionally. For the benefit of our listeners, both in the room and online, who is that? Who makes that prioritization decision?
You're gonna have to help me with this. So I know that Director Liu, obviously, you know, gathers all that information and talks with staff about that, but also there are regional partners as well. Transportation commissioners also have a say in a lot of that. Andy, do you want to expand on that?
Well, every 4 years, we go through our 4P process, which is where we go out as staff and our planning partners to all the counties and the municipalities within the counties, and we listen to what the priorities are of the locals, and we take all that information back and see how it can fit in. So our last 4P process was in 2022. And so I think here, we will start kicking that off, I believe, late next summer, you know, for the 2025, 2026 cycle. And that'll help align us with what our priorities are for the following 4 years as we get through our, you know, every 4 years of our 10-year plan. So here in the next year or two, we'll start reaching out and starting that process of gaining that input to determine the priorities for the next couple of years.
Gotcha. And then my third question, I'm going to hold on the fourth question, but my third question is in regards to the House Bill 22-1313. It's known as the Transit-Oriented Corridor Bill. And what they're proposing is using the Highway Use Transportation Fund as a, I guess if you will, as a stick, if you will, if the cities are not able to meet their self-identified housing opportunity goals. I wonder if you can kind of tell us what your thoughts are in terms of using highway use, HUTF funds?
I know that's not my, well, so because I don't have an answer for you now, I will definitely take that back. I would probably talk to my deputy director, Herman Stockinger, who has, no, let me just leave it at that. I will talk with him and get some information on that. I don't necessarily have a lot of that information available to me off the top of my head, right? So these are things that I'm working with our other liaisons. We have our state legislative liaison that has more of a pulse on that than I do, but not to say that I can't get that information for you. So I'll make note of that before I leave.
Thank you. And then question 4, if you don't mind, I'll take offline with you. I just texted you the concern.
Okay.
So
Sure,
we can have
okay.
a conversation with the city manager.
Okay.
Councilmember Burns?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just want to echo my fellow council member Walker's comments. The Hill, I was pregnant when that started. I am no longer pregnant, so it has been quite some time that we've been looking to get that area cleaned up. I would also just like to ask, when was the 10-year plan started? You talk about 10-year plans, but there's no date range in there?
Okay. So I'll let him go on.
We've just completed the, let me see, it would have started in 2020. 2019 would have been the first year. So 2019 to 2023 were our first, 2019, 2021, 22 were our first 4 years. And then 23, 24, 25, 26 are our next 4 years of our plan. And then, so we have it broken down right now on those 4 years of funding. And then we have 27 plus is the outer years of the plan.
Okay.
And so every year, every 2 years, there'll be a rolling 2-year cycle,
Okay.
right? So,
So 2020 to 2030, essentially. is the
yeah,
10-year plan.
2019
Okay.
to 2029, and then we're continuing to.
Cool.
Once we finish those 4 years, we continue to add another 4 years out and continue to look. But the first 4 years of the plan are the ones that are actually funded, and the remaining 6 years are planning projects.
Okay. in regards to the Front Range passenger rail, I know you all said you didn't have too much information on that. So I will send an email and offline that. And I also just wanted to let y'all know, the 10-year plan website seems to be broken. It's a 404 error. So if y'all could send us an updated link, that would be great.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you. Well, Councilmember Burns beat me to that one because I did click on the link in your slide and it didn't go where it was
Okay.
supposed to go.
Apologies for that.
That's okay. The next question I have though is, if you could just give me a little bit clearer idea of what is bus rapid transit compared to regular like RTD routes, and why, how can you make it faster if they're going down the same road with all the stoplights?
Right, so we're looking at how do we efficiently move those buses with signal prioritization at the intersections, a bus bypass lane, to allow the bus to be able to move freely within the corridor and around the congestion. And therefore, you can get the rapid transit times of the corridor.
So it would be possibly like constructing another lane or a different, widening the road or a different route? Or?
Yeah, constructing different bump outs at the intersections or distance at the intersections to allow the buses, as they come up on the queues, to be able to jump those queues and get through the signals a little more efficiently than the regular traffic. That's why, some of these corridors I talked about are all really constrained corridors. And so that's why we're studying it right now to figure out what is going to be the best method to allow those buses to, to operate in a more rapid manner than they are right now.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. That's what I had a question.
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation and the update. A couple questions I had are, as a landlocked state, Colorado, that question that you brought up earlier about the 2 seaplane bases in Colorado, where are those located?
Not sure.
So, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't have talked on something that I didn't have information for, right? I know that, who's the director? Is this,
David Ulane.
Yeah, David Ulane is a point of contact, and I can definitely reach out to him and find out. Because I was actually, intrigued by that as well, but I'm like, well, I don't know where they're at, and but that's okay. I'll get that information for you.
Okay, and I was looking online for fares on Bustang, and you do have to download the app, but what's the range for the fares for different varieties of Bustang and Pegasus and everything else?
Let's see, so I know that let's see, because I took a trip. So from Union Station to Grand Junction, round trip was 60. So, no, yeah, round trip was 60. But I know that they are updating the fares. I don't have that information. I definitely follow up with that as well. I know that they just brought on 4 new buses. So obviously the demand is there, but I don't know the logistics on that. But again, I'll follow up with you on that. The entire council, not just one. So I'm making mental notes here of what I need to follow up with.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Roper.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you guys for this presentation and thank you for your time tonight. My question is also around Bustang. So this is the second year of a 3-year pilot. Is with the 25% increase in riders, is the program able to sustain itself once the pilot ends, or where will we land at?
As far as I know, yes, because of the fact that this was long-range planning, just from the information that I gathered. I don't know if you have anything to add to that? No? Okay, so I'm, again, following up information. But I know that with Dr. Cog and conversations that are revolving around that, they're definitely interested in, I don't want to say funding, but a partnership, I'm not sure what that looks like, to ensure that that's something that we could rely on in addition to RTD, not to compete, but in addition to. Okay.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, both of you, for being here and for this presentation. A couple of questions. So can you tell me a little bit, and this, I was trying to find this information. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of what exactly Bustang does and how might our community members in Northglenn utilize it?
But, I mean, Bustang just provides the longer range transit trips, like all the way up to Fort Collins or to I-70. So you would have, we don't have any Bustang stops here in the metro area other than Union Station. They all originate and go out of Union Station. So like Northglenn residents, I suppose, would take transit down to Union Station and then be able to catch Bustang lines from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and this might be a silly question, but the front range passenger rail, is that the same as the light rail, the N line?
No, that's something different. Again, that's regional rail instead of the light rail that RTD operates is just here within the region. When I say regional, statewide, front range, like passenger rail from, Fort Collins all the way down to Pueblo.
Okay. So, and I guess this is from my understanding then, is the light rail piece, is that handled by RTD and that's separate from you guys?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I will not ask you any questions. So,
All right, good.
thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple of the questions I had already been asked, but first of all, thank you for the wonderful information on CDOT 101. I definitely learned a lot. To expand on Councilmember Goff's question, just because I'm still wanting a little bit more information on the bus rapid transit. So potentially separate cutouts or whatever you call them to make it go faster, but also are there still an equal amount of stops or are there less stops so it just continues on a path a little bit longer? I'm just trying to figure out how it's more efficient than like RTD's current.
Right. Yeah, we can get you in touch with the actual bus rapid transit folks that are planning all of that.
Okay.
Right now, I think they're still in their service planning and alternatives analysis to determine what that really looks like.
Okay, great. And then Bustang. So what happened to the Broncos games? That Bustang used to have a large presence there.
Yeah,
Is
that was RTD.
I think, but yeah,
Even though it's called
Bustang,
Bustang, though.
Bustang still had their
That's
Broncos
confusing.
ride, but that was from, outside this region. RTD operated the Broncos ride from like Wagon Road or something. They used to operate that and
That's
they no
confusing
longer.
because
That's
they did call it the Bustang. Okay, great, so I'll take
Yeah.
it up with RTD. And then regarding workforce centers and programs working with kids and their careers in technical education, do y'all work with our Future Forward Center here in Thornton or next to us in Thornton, I should say? A lot of Northland students.
I will have to look into that. That's just something I've just briefly touched on because I'm out in the communities and I've been approached by Rocky Mountain Partnership, one, and Jefferson County Workforce and Development Center. And so I've connected them with the team with our HR department, but I can definitely look into to see who they're currently working with or partnered with. I know that there is interest in expanding that from the outside in with CDOT, so that's something that I would like to, be able to be well-versed on and present that information as I'm out in the community. So this all just kind of happened in the last few weeks, so, well, thank you.
Yeah, that would be great to find out, just because that's our, in conjunction, Northglenn and Thornton. A lot of Northglenn students go there, but career and technical education. And I know this would be perfect if you're looking for that type of partnership.
Definitely, yes.
And then the very last quick question I have is 0 deaths is definitely a lofty goal and a good goal. But how are you benchmarking, or do you know how like is a percentage of decreased deaths in a certain amount of year? How do you know you're working towards that goal in like realistic numbers?
That's something I would have to reach out to our safety team. I know that there's several different folks that cover different areas like safe driving, safe roads. Am I speaking? Because I know that when I was gathering this information, I had to speak with a few different people, and I narrowed this down to not be such a lengthy presentation. But I do know that they have that information readily available to me. I think it's probably something I already had, but I can provide that to the council as whole, just to see what that looks like. Not on an annual basis, but, you know, whether it's 5-year, 10, I don't know. I don't know what those benchmarks are, but definitely get that information.
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
So I just have a few, not too many actually, because council covered a lot of it. But when I think about this as a presentation, you know, calling it CDOT 101, one thing I think that would be really helpful is almost a Venn diagram, because I think even, you know, new council members, but probably residents, it can be very confusing to figure out where RTD fits in, where
Okay.
express toll fits in.
Sure.
Where, like, even the highway patrol, right? Like, how does it all work together?
Yeah.
In conjunction? And, you know, as Councilmember Walker alluded to, and I know you know this, right? Nobody loves CDOT. And so trying to help you figure out how to make it clear the services you provide and everything that you're doing in these slides, so that you can have probably a better reputation, not you as individuals, of course, but it is,
Okay, I was
yeah.
sweating it out here.
No, but it's,
kidding.
because there's so much, like, when I see that 270 is a goal, I'm thinking, well, yeah, because it's been so bad for so long. And I love the safety culture, and death is obviously a benchmark, but there's also, like, I was on there one day and it was probably 20 cars hit the same pothole and it just destroyed their vehicle. And so that becomes
Right.
super unsafe. And it doesn't have to be death to make it unsafe, right? So I think some of those pieces and just clarity of communication to do some sort of overlap where, you know, you are not RTD but you do provide a service. And then the other thing is the Front Range passenger rail slide. I think is really interesting, because if you look at the when, there is no when.
Yeah.
Right? We
Okay.
talk about it.
Sure.
It gets a lot of press, but the final question is, when is that? And if we're still looking for financing, like, can you tell us, like, where you think it is on the map or on the timeline?
I don't really, that's not very professional to stand up and say I don't have the answer, but at least I'm being honest with you that I don't have the answer. I guess what I can do is, who would be in charge of that? Would be, we'll discuss, but I will reach out to the appropriate department to help me with that, because, you know, again, this was information that was already out there, I just gathered it, but now that I'm thinking about it, it would be helpful, obviously, with benchmarks, dates, and things of that nature. So that's definitely something, the feedback, I welcome the feedback and the suggestions, and I can reach out to the appropriate department to provide a little bit more refined information for Front Range passenger rail.
And you definitely have to dig in, because the caption on the image says that, you know, it does extend from here to here. And, you know, I think it's aspirational.
Sure.
I've been in many presentations about it, but I haven't ever heard, like, oh, we finally found the money, and oh, we're ready to go.
Right.
It feels like this dream out there. And so I was just wondering if it was getting close. And then the final thing I just wanted to recommend, because I love the Revitalizing Main Streets. If you haven't already, or if CDOT hasn't already, check out Birmingham, Alabama. They have the most beautiful
Okay.
underpass Main Street that has been activated in such an incredible way. And so I would definitely check that out,
Okay.
because that could be a really fun model.
All right, good to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you for being here. I mean, this
Yes.
was so much information.
And lastly, there's my information. Obviously,
yeah.
you have that, but
Thank
just.
you.
Thank you so much for your time, and sorry that we took a little bit longer on this, but
it was
again,
great.
this is something that I'm new to, not presentations, but this particular information. So thank you for the feedback, appreciate the time and the questions, and I will follow up. I'm going to make notes as soon as I get to the back of the room so I don't forget, but thank you again for your time this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving into communications, we will start with Councilmember Walker, so I don't forget it.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say, first, obviously, thank you to Tom Lampo for his wonderful words and coming to council tonight. Also, I want to thank our members of our city staff, and then anyone else who helped put together our police awards banquet and helped make it a great celebration of our heroes. And while city staff and my fellow council members here put in countless hours in the chamber and beyond the chamber, the true heroes of this city are the men and women who serve and protect. The countless stories of heroism, injuries, and life-saving that we heard once again reminded me who truly makes the city what it is. So I want to say thank you to them and thank you to staff for putting it together. That is it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Burns?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, so I'll keep this very brief. I unfortunately could not go to the banquet this week, so I'm glad to hear it was beautiful. Yeah, we had a COVID positive test in my house, so thank you to everyone who spoke, who came to speak. Thank you so much to the Youth Commission. That was a beautiful presentation. We had CCPP board. There were 2 really good presentations done by Lieutenant Shelley and Commander Locke. I'm pronouncing your name right. Thank y'all so much for that. That was really helpful. And then a quick update from the Legislative Committee. So we are taking an official position on HB 241283, Secretary of State Review of Municipal Campaign Finance Complaints, and we are supporting that bill. And then on HB 1313, we are taking an amend position. And that's all for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Jaramillo?
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Adams County Government Sub-Regional Transportation Forum, and good news from Thornton and Commerce City. 104th Avenue from Colorado Boulevard to Highway 85 will soon have 4 lanes. Also, 88th Avenue from I-76 to Highway 2 will have 4 lanes coming up soon too, so that'll help with traffic. If you're commuting for work or for DIA or whatever reason, it's about to improve soon. Also, I conducted the Outside Agency Funding Committee held on February 20th, and we sponsored Food for Hope for the Hope is Our Story Gala, the Ralston House with 2 pinwheel gardens that you might see around soon at the Justice Center and here at City Hall. And also we funded Almost Home for the Spring Out of Homelessness benefit. And it's coming up in May 10th. And then the Concert for a Cause, and that's September 28th. And that'll be in Brighton at the Armory. And then we also funded the 5-Star Education Foundation, and that'll be at Topgolf in June. And the court-appointed Special Advocates of Adams and Broomfield Counties, also known as CASA, for the Indulge CASA event on September 4th. So if you're all interested in any of those events, reach out to me and we can, we have tickets for all of those events, but if we need additional ones, we can make that happen.
When?
What's that? September. CASA?
Isn't there one in March?
I don't know if we funded that one. We didn't fund that one. So just CASA, Wednesday, September 4th, 5 to 9, and we also have 8 tickets. And Joanna, can you, or City Clerk Small, can you remind me when the event, which event is going to be here at Delta Hotel?
So that is the Food for Hope, Hope is Our Story Gala.
Okay, Food for Hope, great. So that's coming up real soon. That's Thursday, March 14th at 6 p.m. and it's at the Delta Hotel Marriott here on 120th in North Glen. We have the gold sponsorship that includes 8 tickets for the event. So we well represented here in our city. And let's see, is there anything else? Oh, and NADA, which is basically like what we saw here today. So except we do that at 7:30 in the morning on a Thursday. So you guys got it here. So that's what I got for you today. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple things. First of all, I'm bummed that I missed the police awards banquet. I had intended to go, but the opportunity to travel out of town came up, so I did do that, but I was disappointed that I missed that. Councilmember Jaramillo updated you on the outside agency funding committee, of which I'm a part of, so I think we got some good things going there. Lastly, I had the opportunity, and thank you to Councilmember Kondo for kind of setting this up, and putting this together, and for Councilmembers Roper and Lukeman Hiramasa for attending with me. We went to tour the water treatment facility and the wastewater treatment facility plants. Thank you to the city staff, Jason and Sean at the water treatment facility, and Manuel with the wastewater treatment facility. If you have not had the opportunity to go and see what they're doing out there, I would highly recommend it. They always appreciate having people come out there and kind of tour the facilities, and I know at times they do open houses as well. I walked away with just a real sense of pride, in these things that you don't often think about. But, it made me really appreciate that glass of water that's coming out of my sink. So, yeah, that was very exciting. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, on February 14th, a CC4CA Legislative Committee met, and at that time, there was not a whole lot going on. This legislative session kind of got maybe a slow start, so I don't have a lot of report on that. And then on February 23rd, the CC4CA board meeting occurred, and that had, there was a lot of discussion about and planning about our retreat in the summer, so not a whole lot to report out on that as well. I did attend the Police Awards banquet, and it is very heartwarming and inspiring to hear the stories of bravery and just our amazing police department, and also non-sworn officers that volunteer a lot of time in our community. I want to thank them all, and it was a wonderful experience. Then the only other thing I really want to mention right now is to make some a comment or to honor a young person. Their name was Nex Benedict. I don't know if anybody's heard about the story in the news, but she was a non-binary student, 16 years old, in Oklahoma. She was bullied by other kids in her high school and involved in some kind of a fight. We don't have all the details exactly, but she ended up in the emergency room and then was sent home, and then the next day she died. So we don't really have a lot of details, but I do just want to remind people that that everything we can do to remind each other to be more compassionate, more kind, more accepting, to pick on somebody and bully them for just because of the way they look or dress can lead to some really terrible consequences. And then along the line, to follow up on that, I am helping to organize a memorial for Nex Benedict. It'll be this Saturday, March 2nd at 3 o'clock at St. John's Lutheran Church, and public is invited. And that's it for me.
Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, as Councilmember Nowicki mentioned, the water plant tour, unfortunately, you can call me the troublemaker. I set it up, and then all of a sudden I couldn't make it. And so, but I do want to thank Councilmembers Nowicki, Roper, and Mayor Pro Tem for going. The reason why I couldn't make it was the Friday before, along with Mayor Pro Tem, I was at the CML Legislative Workshop, and quite informative. And I would definitely recommend next year, if you really want to get smart and get the Reader's Digest on all the legislation coming up, it's a nice way to do that and to network and catch the hack, which I'm still suffering from. And I think I might have given it to Shannon as well, so forgive, please. I also attended the awards night, and in the room, we have one of our heroes, Sergeant Guzman. And I just wanted to call you out there. He was actually the instructor for the active shooter training that a number of us saw last fall. And I must say that Northglen's commitment to making sure that our police are going to run in if God forbid, something really horrible happened at one of our schools, I think was really, again, Councilmember Walker mentioned the heroism, countless number of awards of heroism, people breaking bones and limbs and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff going on in background that hasn't seen the light of day. And I just wanted to make sure that our residents understand that our police officers, they do go into danger. And they suffer a great deal physically and probably mentally. And they do it because they love this city. And I'm just totally in awe. Unfortunately, I could not make the banquet. I had to run off to Dr. Cog, Denver Regional Council of Government. Very good session there. I was elected among the slate of officers now to be the board treasurer. So I think that'll be a very interesting year of following the money. Where's the money? Show me the money.
Yeah.
Adams District 12 had their blueprint focus group. I'm not going to talk too much about that. And this morning, both Mayor Pro Tem and I had breakfast with one of our Adams County Commissioners, Steve O'Dorisio. Very interesting breakfast session, and what we talked about was mobility solutions for elderly and infirm people. This is a company that both Mayor Pro Tem and I saw at City Summit in Atlanta. First time I ever rode an autonomous electric vehicle. And I'm glad I did it with the Mayor Pro Tem in case, something happened. I know that she would save me if something untoward happened, but the vehicle actually returned back to its starting point. It was very safe. But the point of the matter is, we're trying to get our heads wrapped around how does this all work? And of course, Commissioner O'Dorisio, being the well-connected guy that he is, trying to help us brainstorm and think about how we might be able to approach that. With that, ma'am, I'm going to turn the floor back over.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I skipped, sorry. I went out of order in my brain. Councilmember Roper. I went to work hard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the burden with going last. A lot of the things we have already been shared that we were a part of. But I do want to echo the water treatment and wastewater facility tour were incredible. I know during Public Works Week, they're going to have public tours, so definitely take advantage of that. Jason, Manuel, Sean, the intentionality behind what is happening with our water system is incredible. The resiliency, the water treatment plant is crushing it, as they shared with us. They're doing a really great job. I was really proud of just being associated with them and so proud of them. The North Glen Police Awards ceremony and banquet was amazing. Again, not to belabor everything that's already been said, but again, what an honor to know that these individuals serve us with so much integrity and courage. It was really inspiring. And
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had quite a few things, so I'll just go through them pretty quickly. As was mentioned before, we do a lot of the same things and attend a lot of the same events, so that's wonderful. I also attended the Blueprint Task Force meeting for Adams 12, and I think it'd probably be more appropriate to give an update after the last meeting, which is in a couple of weeks. I attended the Business Retention and Expansion Committee meeting, and just want to remind everyone that there's a business after hours event, and for businesses that would like to sign up on March 14th at Lizzie's Axe Throwing. I'm so bummed that I won't be here because we'll be at NLC. Some of us will be there, but what a fun event to have at Lizzie's Axe Throwing. So that is from 4:30 to 6:30. I attended the CML workshop, as Councilmember Kondo also mentioned. Very informative, but you can all keep updated on legislation that CML is lobbying for, against, or just information through CML's website and newsletters. And also attended the wastewater treatment facility tour and the water treatment facility tour. That's a mouthful. Again, as was mentioned, thank you to Jason, to Sean, and to Manuel. I did this tour back in 2021. And it was definitely so incredible to do it again. I feel like I learned new things, got to see things I didn't see before. Just understanding the quality of our water in Northland, we are so incredibly lucky. one of the things that I learned is that it's because we're so close to the source of our water. So instead of it going through multiple cities and kind of getting recycled, I don't know if that's the right word to use, where water kind of goes and gets recycled and moves, we're so close to the source that we get it fresh and have to use less chemicals to keep it fresh. So that's very important for our residents to know that we have the best water around. I attended the Ralston House board meeting, so it's good to hear that the outside funding agency is supporting their Pinwheel event, plus all the other events. Also, the Northland Police Department Awards, and as was said, just incredible heroes that serve our community. We are so lucky to have a police department here in Northland, such as the one that we do have, from their training to just their complete selflessness, running into danger to protect our residents. The stories were incredible. I teared up a couple of times just thinking of what that must have been like to try to put myself in their shoes. So thank you to every single one of you. We really appreciate you, And it makes me, continue to think we should always keep their mental health at the top of our minds after hearing those stories and make sure we continue to support them as a city in that respect as well. Attended the CML Executive Board meeting on Friday, which I won't update on because we do our updates through our Legislative Policy Committee, which is more relevant to specific Northland bills, which Councilmember Burns did just update. But there is maybe one that I will just throw out there so everybody can keep at the top of mind. It wasn't introduced yet. I don't know if it's been introduced yet, but it is an RTD governance bill, and it would restructure the entire board consistency of RTD. So right now, it's a 15-member board that is elected, and it would change that from an elected board to an appointed board of 7 members, 2 of which would be appointed by Dr. Cog and the rest by the governor's office. So just keep that in mind as that bill comes forward and we get more information. And since we're talking about transportation, it seemed relevant just to mention that. And that's about it. This council member did go over the meeting that we had with Commissioner Odoricio. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we're all super busy in between meetings for sure, and I appreciate all of the updates, but also I just want to thank all of council, but also Mayor Pro Tem for stepping in. I missed a couple of meetings due to family health issue, but we're all good, so we're back, and everything's great. I was in DC for part of that and had a chance to sit down with Congresswoman Caraveo. She is our congressional leader, and it's so lovely to see her. So when a lot of council goes to NLC in the next couple weeks, check on the plant that I gave her and make sure it's still alive. She did say that one of her staffers would keep it alive, so, but it was nice to visit with her a little bit. So, lots of boards and commissions, Metro Mayor's work, and it's been really busy, but the work that we do in the city is also very important. So again, award ceremony, so amazing. We have an outstanding police department, but one of the things that's really important is that they take the time to acknowledge and recognize the successes, and that's something that I think we should highlight. So I did in the mayor's monthly minute, so that's a little preview. You can wait for that. And then I'm super excited because on Friday, I'm going to be at our theater for a Cleo Parker dance performance, and I'm so excited. And again, to residents, if you haven't seen a show at the Parsons Theater, please check out the lineup. We have really high-quality shows, so I'm excited for that. And I do need to put a plug. I'm not quite sure who to talk to, possibly our Arts and Humanities Foundation. The Littleton mayor invited all of us down to their sweet little theater in downtown Littleton. And if you have never been there, that is the cutest, sweetest, most quaint theater, and the production was high quality. And then I was like, ooh, but we need to, maybe I need to return the favor in some way and host an event as well. But that was, anytime you can experience art in the community, I think you should. So that is all I have for now. Lots of fun coming up in the spring, so we'll have more updates for you. City Clerk Small, do you have any updates?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not have any updates tonight.
Okay, City Manager Guyer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have 4 updates to provide to you. The first would be that staff partnered with the Colorado Public Health Parks and Recreation Collaborative and Colorado Parks and Recreation Association to host their 10th annual collaborative summit on Friday, February 23rd in the community rooms at the Rec Center. Roughly 175 individuals attended this summit, and quite a few of those ventured over to Prost Beer Garden for a scheduled happy hour at the end of the event. There was probably quite a bit of interest in that, Amanda, and excitement. So thanks for promoting North Glen and Prost. On Friday, March 1st, the Senior Center's annual Pig Day potluck celebrating National Pig Day, complete with pig races with wind-up pigs, not real pigs, wind-up pigs, competing for this year's championship title, and a potluck where every dish includes pork, bacon, and other pig-themed connections. The mayor had mentioned that there is a wonderful Cleo Parker Robinson dance program coming up. Thursday of this week and Friday, we still have tickets for both of these shows. Springtime and Morning will be available, so jump online and snag your tickets to those shows. The last update that I have is it was previously requested, I believe, by Councilmember Goff to have a tour of Jody Bliss's studio. So Amanda will send out an email, Amanda or Michael will send out an email to council tomorrow. The date that's been selected is April 13th. It's a Saturday, roughly 9 to noon. So go ahead and take note of that date, and then you'll be asked to RSVP with staff in an email tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney Hoffman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. I do not have an update tonight.
Well done. All right, moving into the consent agenda, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Brianna, also for Council City Clerk Small, I also vote yes. The thing just vanished on me. Check mark? Oh, just kidding, I have it. Thank you, Jay.
Sorry. All right, I will close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
All right, moving into public hearings, CB 2018. City Clerk Small, will you read the title, please?
A bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 9, Article 4 of the City of North Glen Municipal Code by the addition of a new section 9-4-17 entitled Abandoned and Removed Shopping Carts in the Public Right-of-Way.
I will now open the public hearing on CB 2018. Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against CB 2018? Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak about CB 2018? You can unmute by pressing *6 at this time. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Moving into ordinances on second reading, CB 2018, the abandoned and removed shopping cart in public right-of-way. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
Move for approval.
Second.
City Attorney Corey Huffman will provide a summary.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. This ordinance, if adopted, would address shopping carts in the rights of way, which has been a continuing issue for the city. And as I indicated previously, it does a number of things, but it leaves if it would make it unlawful to leave an abandoned shopping cart in the right of way. Importantly, it would make it unlawful to remove a shopping cart from a business premise without the business's permission, either temporarily or permanently, or be in possession of a removed shopping cart. And finally, to deface a shopping cart by removing, for example, the vendor's name. But one of the issues with this ordinance, if adopted, that we talked about at the last meeting, is it has to be applied uniformly. And so what that means in practice is that if someone frankly takes a shopping cart home with their groceries, for good reason perhaps, it is still unlawful under this ordinance. And so this ordinance has to be enforced against everyone that may take a shopping cart off a business premise. Because it is a violation of equal protection to, for example, prosecute those experiencing homelessness that may have a shopping cart, but not someone else who's doing the same action. So if adopted, this across the board would make it unlawful. It also addresses what is done with the belongings under the current city policy, and how it's enforced ultimately will be consistent with existing city policy related to any belongings that may be found in a shopping cart.
Thank you. Councilmember Goff?
Thank you. So one of the things I want our residents and everybody to understand is that if someone gets permission, it's not illegal. And so I guess I'm not really sure, and if we've looked into what that would mean. Could the manager on duty that day write a little note? Or, do you have some ideas about what that permission might look like?
Practically speaking, I think it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, for that sort of permission. Because if a business owner provides that permission to some or not others, it may create a problem in terms of enforcement as well. So while it is true, it is essentially theft to take a shopping cart, and I'm not sure the manager would necessarily have that authority. So I would not rely on the permission piece as an exception to the ordinance.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify, because it does say that you can get permission. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney, thank you. I'm curious, and this is because I noticed on my way home from work today that someone had a shopping cart on, I think it was Grant and 120th. So this is perfect. I'm really curious, and maybe I noticed that Chief May is here, so maybe he can speak about this as well. If someone is, this person obviously had a Target shopping cart filled with items at a bus stop. So if someone like that, I'm curious about kind of what the enforcement piece looks like. Does someone show up? Is that person issued a ticket? Are their belongings taken there? Kind of what does that process look like?
Good evening, Council. The enforcement process for this, for the simplistic process, would be if the property inside the cart was personal property, it would be inventoried and maintained for 30 days. If it wasn't picked up in 30 days, it could be destroyed. The cart itself would be confiscated, returned to the owner if easily identifiable, or the owner would be notified at least to retrieve their cart, and the subject would be issued a citation. So in the simplest form, that would be the process.
And let me add something, because I think in your scenario, I'm assuming there was a person with that cart.
There was a person with that cart.
So I don't know if you want to address that as well.
The citation would be issued to the individual that was in possession of the cart.
Okay, and their things would be confiscated from the cart at that time.
So the cart would be confiscated. If they were able to carry off their things, they would be allowed to carry off their things. If they were unable to carry off their property, they can't abandon their property on the public way, so we would take it for safekeeping until the period of time they were able to collect it.
Okay.
Or 30 days, at which time it would then be under our city policy, our city statute to be able to be destroyed.
Okay, and is that the responsibility of a responding officer or an additional city staff person that comes out and collects that stuff?
So at this time, there's nothing in the ordinance that really defines that, right? So that's a practical piece that we would work through on how we would manage that, because I've addressed it with council before. This is a tool, not something that we would, utilize in every instance, in every circumstance. It's a tool that we can utilize when the circumstances provide themselves to us. But I would use up all my resources in the city very quickly if I just went around snatching up shopping carts from everybody in the public way, right? So it's a tool that we have in the toolbox to utilize in circumstances that provide us that opportunity.
Thank you, Deb.
Councilmember Condo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So carts know no city boundaries. And so if it's a shopping cart from the Target in Thornton or some other business outside of Northland City, this would still work, right? We would return it to the Target.
It would, and in fact, that's one of the reasons this ordinance is drafted the way it is because many of the carts that are negatively impacting the city originate from outside the city. And so we can't do what some communities that have more of the businesses within the city do, which is to require the vendors to have a shopping cart management plan. We just don't have jurisdiction under those businesses in other jurisdictions. So, yes, the enforcement of this has no municipal boundary as it relates to the origination of the carts. We can still enforce carts that are from elsewhere.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, that looks like it. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CB 2018 on second reading passes unanimously.
Resolutions, we have one tonight, CR 71. Will the clerk read the title, please?
A resolution adopting the City of North Glen 2024 pay plan as amended and amending the City of North Glen 2024 personnel summary.
Move for approval.
Second.
Our Director of Human Resources and Chief Diversity Officer, Tamara Dixon, is here to provide a summary. Hello.
Good evening, Mayor Leidy, Council. It's good to be here. I'm here to seek approval to amend our 2024 personnel summary and pay plan. As you are aware, our former Finance Director, Jason Loveland, was appointed as our Deputy City Manager in January of this year. And while he will oversee the Department of Finance, his appointment does create a need to create a Deputy Finance Director to handle the day-to-day operations of the Finance Department. This proposed change would result in an increase of 1 FTE to our personnel summary. That proposed change is reflected in the handouts that you all have, the amended personnel summary and amended pay plan. It's important to note that the Deputy City Manager will continue to provide leadership and oversight of the Finance Department, so we will not be hiring a replacement at a director level. That said, that would result in a savings of between $35,000 and $60,000. And with that said, I'd love to answer any questions.
I think that was pretty straightforward.
Yes.
No questions for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for being here.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 71 passes unanimously.
Two discussion items tonight. The first one is the new City Hall construction update for February 2024. Senior Planner Eric Enzi is here to provide an update. Hi.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. I will give you the update for February of 2024 this year for the City Hall construction. What I want to do is start out by saying what we like to hear. We're still on time and we're still within budget. So project's moving forward pretty successfully at this point. I do also want to start out by saying another thing we've been talking about since September is the slab failure. And where we're at with that process. At this point, we still have not received a report back from FCI's insurance provider on the slab failure. So we are still waiting to get response back from them. I do want to keep you guys in the loop, so I will keep this on until we get that issue resolved, but I just wanted to give that up front as well. One of the things I want to point out is in February, we did see the beginning of the installation of the MEP overhead rough-ins. MEP is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So that's a pretty big step in a process, in a construction process. So we've seen piping, we've seen conduit run, and we're seeing ductwork being constructed within the building itself. We're also seeing drywall construction. This focus right now is on the council chambers, so we're seeing some major progress in the council chambers. And in the community room spaces, we will see that spread as we move forward. And as you've noticed, the exterior sheathing has been installed, and almost the entirety of the building, with a little small portion has the weatherproofing that's been installed on that. So we'll see the finishing touches of that weatherproofing coming up here pretty soon, and we'll have an all-blue building for a while. In March, we do anticipate seeing the completion of interior dry work. So that's gonna start on the second floor, and then it'll move down to the first floor as well. We're seeing windows just started the other day being installed. So we'll see that continue through the beginning of March, and we should see that done. What that'll do is give a little bit more of an envelope space inside the building. So we'll start seeing that take place as well. They have started roofing as well, but that will be completed also in March. So we'll have a full finished roof on top of the building itself. You can begin now, if you're looking and driving, you can see the beginning of the exterior paneling system. So there will be a paneling system that goes on the outside of the sheathing that's up there. You can kind of see the braces going up right now. What will be affixed to that will ultimately be the final exterior finishes. So that'll come in a few months, but right now they're working on getting that wall paneling up. Our schedule as we kind of progress in construction is getting a little more solidified. So we're seeing there's less risk at this point in the process than there was when we were doing utilities and underground stuff. So we are seeing some dates start to materialize here. I do want to say, I'll be giving you some dates here. They are still tentative, and we'll keep updating these as we kind of move forward at this point. We still do plan to do a tour with council in April, May-ish. So Heather and myself will send out a calendar invite here. I'm assuming we'll probably look at before a council meeting, kind of like we did last time maybe. That might be either a council meeting or a study session, something along those lines.
Eric, you can go ahead and share. We're looking at May 6th.
May 6th is the date that we're looking at there, so. And so we'll get a calendar invite sent out to you all on that date as well. Okay, so in terms of dates for the construction process, we are anticipating a temporary certificate of occupancy on July 2nd. What that means is that basically means the building is almost done, not quite at this point. So there's still some punch list items that need to get taken care of, some finishing and fine tuning to the MEP systems. But what that also means is that we can begin moving in furniture at that point. So furniture will start moving in, you'll see, after that July date. We do anticipate a certificate of occupancy now on or around August 9th, and I believe that's a Friday. So this step would ultimately allow for us to actually be in the building itself. Now, what we're looking at doing, there's a little wiggle room with the beginning of that next week, so there'll probably be a few things maybe being moved or transferred over to the building. But the majority of things will likely take place in a move on Thursday, August 15th, and Friday, August 16th. The city will be hiring a move vendor to assist us in the move. So there will be some items, not many items, but more personal office type items, as well as records. Those types of things will need to be moved over to the new building itself. So we anticipate those days. That move vendor will move those stuff in, staff will begin unpacking, and the goal will be to actually have the building open to the public on Monday, August 19th. What we are anticipating is a VIP grand opening ceremony for Wednesday, September 11th or September 12th. So that's tentative at this moment, but those dates one of those dates will likely be the date for that. And then looking at an open house to the public, that would be on Saturday, September 14th. And that would be the opportunity for the public to come in and actually see the building as well. So we'd have tours of the building, those types of things, and other events there at the building itself. So with that, that concludes my monthly report. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councilmember Condo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, great news, and I'm glad that I did not misrepresent anything when I said on schedule and on time, on budget and on time when I briefed North Metro. And I do want to thank you for coordinating with them so that they could potentially tour as the building is nearing completion. Just for the public's awareness, North Metro Fire is getting ready, we're contemplating building yet another station, Station 68, which would be on the southwest side of the Rocky Mountain Regional Airport, and that's to be able to serve the community of Skystone. And still probably a year and a half away, but to be able to allow them to tour and kind of see how this building is working, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Great
Thank you.
news.
Have
Love
a
it,
great
love
evening.
it. Okay. All right, second discussion item, Council Protocol 7, urgent information communication to City Council. City Manager Heather Geyer will introduce this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this presentation is here. I'm not going to read those two purpose statements to you as it's inherent in the title of the topic in front of you this evening. I'm bringing this item forward to Council proactively, so that way there is alignment and understanding around what I consider and staff considers urgent information, what we will share with council if council has a different expectation or a desire to have something different. The purpose of this discussion this evening is to create alignment and address any areas of misalignment. So in front of you on this slide, this is the existing Protocol 7, which is in the council protocols. And it's a pretty simple outline of, in essence, 4 items that explain what urgent is. I can tell you over time, though, and having opportunities to onboard new council members, while it may be clear to some members of council, I don't think it has always been very clear. So hence why I'm in front of you tonight and really want to use this as an opportunity to make sure you're being provided. I'm providing you the information that you would like to have under this frame of urgent information. So the way I've set this discussion up for ease of review of the existing protocol, that is what you see in the black font. As you saw on the previous slide, pretty simple 4 areas. And then added to the slides to follow this one is text in blue font. And this is text that I've added definition, explanation of what urgent information means. And these are the slides that I really want you to react and provide feedback on to make sure we're on the right track. So underneath that framework, there's an overall statement. Again, I'm not going to read it to you, but feel free to ask any questions if you have them. This is just an overall purpose of why we're defining urgent information and the purposes of what it's used for. On the next slide, it's elevating that I make the judgment call on what information I share. There have been a couple times in the past, I believe I've reached out to the mayor in a situation where it's maybe not clear as to whether or not the information should be shared or the timing of it. So as much as I've trying to make this very clear in terms of what the protocol definition can look like, I would say there's always something to be said for having some flexibility and knowing that if I need direction from the mayor I will reach out to the mayor and ask her to make sure, again, we continue having that alignment between council and staff. There's also a really important note that we added here at the bottom, and that is in relationship to incidents or issues that come up that involve other agencies. So Excel, North Metro Fire Rescue District, Adams 12, incidents in neighboring jurisdictions that I will not, or a staff member will not be notified of directly. In some instances, we will be notified, and I think going back to last year, there was I believe it was a gas line issue and then a fire response issue in Carl's Farm. We did go back after that complaint was provided to me by a council member, and the issue there was the information did not move up chain of command on the police side. We've had some changeover in terms of supervisory staff and command staff. So I think all of that flow of information has been addressed. If we're notified of any type of structure fire, it's not North Metro Fire notifying me, it's that incident coming up through chain of command on the police department side. So in terms of major incident, this is, this title is going to remain that you see in black. And then what constitutes a major incident is defined for you below. So a natural disaster, tornado, flood incident, etc. The second bullet, an unfolding police response to a significant public safety incident and threat to the general public. We've included some examples there. Threat to general public, active shooter situation, officer involved shooting, kidnapping, school lockdown, homicide, and armed robbery. So in those situations, you'll be notified under the urgent information protocol. The third bullet speaks to Code Red, and that is a tool that can be notification system that residents need to sign up for, and that it will be issued citywide or by neighborhood depending on the incident. You all will be notified after the alert is issued unless a council member is signed up. So council is not notified pre a Code Red being issued. That's a really important flow. Because the emergency response process is unfolding, there is no way nor would it be appropriate for that communication to circumvent the actual response to the emergency. So you will be notified as soon as I'm notified that a Code Red was issued in the impacted areas. However, if you reside in an area where a Code Red is issued, you will know about that Code Red issuance prior to anyone else on council. Additional context under major incident includes significant damage to city property. We have fires and floods as examples here. House fires, significant property damage and bodily injury. So recently, I provided council with information that we had a structure fire. I think that was just last week. And then information was pushed out by North Metro Fire acknowledging the Red Cross's efforts in helping those displaced residents, as well as the city sharing that information on our city Facebook page. Any incident resulting in death or severe injury to an individual in service to the city would be a reason why I would use the urgent information protocol. It is important to note in the case of death, a name will not be released until notification of next of kin, and that's consistent with other city processes. Cyber attacks against the city or city partners, as we saw last year with the situation with AdCom. Any questions on this particular first major incident before I move on to emergency situation?
Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So one comment on the second bullet point where it says house fire, shouldn't that say structural fire? Because, I mean, you could have a fire in a warehouse or a business. So I'm kind of curious as to where fire and commercial real estate might fall.
I think that's a good recommendation. We'll change it to structure fire.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 2, emergency situation. This is the following breakdown that we're providing in terms of what constitutes an emergency. A water line or sewer line break, which involves, sometimes it can involve service impacts to our residents' homes or businesses. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just a notification that there's a water line break or a sewer line break. Police response to an incident that may pose danger to the public. Code red is issued citywide or for a neighborhood. A hazardous spill on a roadway within Northglen limits. We are not always notified of spills on I-25. So again, if it's an incident that the police department's aware of or another staff members, I think going back a couple years, there was an incident where I was notified by a member of public works staff based on our response to that incident for environmental purposes to make sure we're in compliance with our EPA standards. Then we'll provide notification evacuation of residents due to gas leaks. So again, I brought up the situation last year that was used as an example, breakdown in communication and that flow of information not coming to council. Additionally, weather-related events, so widespread power outages, significant snowstorms, heat waves. We still don't have a good way by Xcel Energy of them notifying us, other than individually, those of us that reside in the city receiving notification if we're signed up to do so via Xcel. So one of the rules of thumb that I always offer to council members is please let me know if you're experiencing a power outage and I can find out more, have a staff member follow up, but it's not an instant notification that we'll receive. And certainly if there's a significant storm and we know in advance, then there's steps that we can take, in particular on the police department side, knowing if that there's certain resident, a large number of residents or types of residents such as assisted living facilities, schools that may be impacted, we can take the appropriate steps to ensure safety of those individuals in those facilities. Closure of city facilities due to an emergency situation. This does not include programming cancellation, so this just includes actual facility closure. So I'm not going to be using this urgent information protocol to let you know if adult basketball was canceled tomorrow night. This is if the rec center is being closed down for a water leak, as I share in the example on the screen. An emergency situation involving an individual in service to the city. So we have had this situation arise last year where we had an employee significantly injured and city council was notified once I was notified of the injury, and certainly corresponding updates of the employee's recovery progress. Anything there before I move on to number 3?
Councilmember Condo?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Going back to page 9, last bullet, when you refer to gas leaks, you're referring to natural gas leaks?
Yes.
Okay. Perhaps maybe we want to specify that. It was just, when I think about gas leaks, the first thing that came to mind was hazardous material, plume.
Well, you'd probably want to be evacuated in that case
Yeah.
also.
For sure. But out of clarity.
Thank you. Anything else on number 2? Moving on to number 3, operational situations. So this is a new area that I'm recommending that we add to this protocol, operational situations. And you'll see that some of this tends to be redundant, but there's a purpose for it. I had just mentioned closure of city facilities, and in this case, weather delays. And then I do have here resignation of an elected official or council appointee, because based on past practice and ensuring to make sure that council gets the information, it does need to be elevated to urgent in order to provide that information as quickly as possible. Any feedback on that item? Pretty straightforward. Number 4 is an existing area in the protocol, topic likely to receive multimedia posting. And there's some additional information that I've recommended that we add here, which is council members will be notified via mobile text by the city manager or the deputy city manager. So the past practice has been that I have, under the allowance of our city attorney, been able to text council urgent information as long as there's no interaction as part of that text thread, no response or reaction. And so I want to formalize that practice within the protocol, which is why you have that there. Any feedback on that? Number 5 is new information to help clarify our release of information practice. Council members will receive news releases from both the city PIO, Diana Wilson, and the Northglenn Police Department PIO, Jamie Burleson. If either of these individuals are out of the office, then someone else will act in their place, and so you may receive a news release, for example, on the police department side from a detective. Say, I think Detective Spresser has sent releases on the PD side before, prior to Jamie being here and after when Jamie's out of the office. And so this section really just clarifies the intent of why the PIO sends out the news releases. I did include a section here, which is Protocol 9, speaking for the city, specifically in relationship to that. We'll clarify some language when we bring this protocol back to council, that I'll designate a member of staff to speak as appropriate, that it's not always going to be me in response to an incident. It'll be the mayor as the spokesperson for the city, as well as the individual responsible for incident command, emergency response. So it'll likely be chief, deputy chief, and any combination thereof. So I am looking for consensus from council to bring forward an amendment at a future date to the council protocol with this definitional content to it, so it's clearer as to what urgent information means. Open to feedback and questions.
Councilmember Goff?
Yeah, I have one. As you were talking about this Protocol 9, I just want to make sure it's clear. If it's not an urgent situation, but for example, a couple of years ago, I was interviewed by a news reporter about our winter shelter program. And I think Diana Wilson just, set that up or, asked me if I was willing to do it.
Separate.
So that's a
from
whole
this
separate
protocol.
process. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your questions and feedback.
Thank you so much. Okay, public invited to be heard. Opportunity for public comment. Statements are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be related to an item previously addressed by council during the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to council at this time? Okay, seeing none. We are going to move further in. It says, I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to section 4.5D of the City of North Glen Home Rule Charter for legal consultation and advice regarding 1, the 112th Ditch and Roadway Project, and number 2, the executive session process.
Motion to adjourn is so stated.
Second.
Okay, please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and the motion to adjourn to executive session passes unanimously.
We will now adjourn to executive session. Council has a short break while they break down equipment.